everyone, it's Dawn from Creative Appliques. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and hit the bell to be notified when I upload new video. In today's video, we're going to do a demonstration of using the sash frame that goes with the Ricoma MT1501. I have never used a frame this large, so I'm really excited to give it a try. So come along as I experiment with it. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to attach these metal pieces over here on each side, and that is what this table is going to be resting on. And then we will hoop some stabilizer onto this frame and then screw this frame into the machine to get started to sew. So we're going to speed through this and show you how to set it all up. Now that we have attached the sides, we are going to remove the bracket arms from the machine. And I have this great little tool here. I got it from Amazon. I'll include the link down below. But it is, you have the removable parts here, and then it's ratchets, so it goes like that, and it has a very low profile to be able to get into the part of the machine to remove the pieces. Now that I've removed the arms, I'm going to put the table on. Okay, so we've slid the table on, and you want to make sure the cut in the table goes around the arm there, and when you come underneath the table, there's these little clamps that you just push like that to kind of secure it in place. Okay, there's 4 of them, and you want to make sure that they kind of clip down like that. All right, so that way it holds this in place. All right, and these little, I don't even know what you call them, but they keep it really secure so it's not going to slide or move anywhere. And the important thing to remember though is the table is resting on these metal parts that I screwed in. Okay, so I created my design in my Ricoma software, and I sequenced it all together so it's going to stitch out in the correct order. But the wonderful thing about the Ricoma software is what it did is it took the design for this massive hoop, and when I printed it out, it prints out a sheet to show you how the design is laid out. And then there were 4 separate pieces of paper that I took and I taped them together, and you have all the alignment to show you where they line up. So there's the diagonal lines here that line up, and then the center line, and then this horizontal line. And when you line up all of those lines, then you can have your design in the correct placement. And this is the overview sheet that is printed, so you know exactly what order the where the placement is of each of these. So now we're going to hoop the stabilizer in the sash frame. Okay, so here's the sash frame, and I'm going to hoop some tearaway stabilizer, since what I'm making is an in the hoop banner, and I don't want to have tearaway in it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut 2 pieces. And now we're going to hoop them into the hoop. So the first thing I need to do is I need to remove these metal parts. Okay. And then I'm going to take the 2 pieces of stabilizer that I cut, line them up, and I'm just going to give them a spray of this adhesive here. Spray adhesive, temporary spray adhesive, to just kind of keep them together while I'm hooping them. So they're not all the same size, as you can see. Just making sure that it's in there, centered, and give it a good press down. I'm going to flatten it down this way. Better to crease it in the crease first, so you kind of get the, kind of score it just a little bit. Might help to get these metal pieces. And you can see here on each of these there's a little tab that you do not want to be towards the center of the frame. You want it to be on the outside of the frame. So this one I got a little too far in, so I need to, I told you this was my first time trying this, so you can see and learn along with me. So I'm just going to score this in here to make it easier. So now we have the tab that's on towards the outside of the frame and moved down towards the end. Okay, so now we have all the stabilizer hooped, all of the metal parts put back on, and now we're going to take the frame and attach it to the machine. So now that we have the stabilizer hooped on here, we're going to attach the sash frame to the pantograph. And there are 4 screws in the back here. There are 4 screws, 2 here and 2 here, that we need to unscrew. And then if you can see, there are 2 washers right there, and those need to be up next to the screw when you put it on the frame. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. pull up the washers here on these two here and slide it on. So now it's just slid on there, but it's still setting there, so I haven't tightened it down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten the one side, and then I'll go tighten the other side. It might be easier just for the beginning, as you're getting it started, to just use your fingers to get it somewhat tightened down a little bit, and then you could use your whatever tool you have. So now that we have the sash frame loaded, we are going to now load the design to the machine. I'm going to trace the design first to make sure it fits within the hoop. Okay, so I can see that the back part is a little too close to the purple part here, so I'm going to move it forward just a smidge, and I'm going to trace it again. If I hold the foot down here, the presser foot, I can see exactly where the machine is going to be stitching. I'm still going to move it just a little bit more and trace again. So now that I have my sheet here, I'm going to program on the machine here what I want it to do. So I'm going to go into the thread colors, and I have my thread colors all set up in here for what is on the machine. So the first step is going to just be stitching the outline of all the triangles. So I'm going to stitch that in white. Then the next step is going to be the rectangle around it, and I put that rectangle in there so that it will hold down the fabric as it sews the letters. So the next one will be just the rectangle, so I'm going to do that white as well. And each of these, hang on, I'm going to go back to number 1, and I'm going to have it okay, so I'm going to do white, 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 and then it's going to be pink, and then blue, and then I'm going to stop the machine, and I'm going to put fabric underneath it, and then I'm going to sew another rectangle, which is going to be in white. Actually, that didn't go right. 1, 7, 12, 1. And then the last step, 2 steps, are going to be sewing the back to the front. So I'm going to then do blue and then pink. So one other thing to note is, because I am putting fabric down and it's essentially kind of an applique, it's an in the hoop design, I'm going to have it set to manual over here, since I don't want it to just continue step by step, needle to needle to needle to needle. So I'm going to have it sew the first step, and then I'm going to have the machine stop, and then I will place down the fabric and go from there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to frame out the machine. I'm going to have the frame come forward this way so that I could place the fabric on top of it. And now I'm going to take my temporary spray adhesive and I'm going to spray the fabric out away from the machine, outside of the frame there. So give it a quick spray, and then I'm going to place it down on top of the frame here, smooth it out really well. And I think because the frame's not going to move that much and there's not a lot of movement, I'm going to sew a rectangle, essentially a basting stitch around it. I'm just going to frame it back in. And I'm going to press start. And I'm just going to kind of be here to guide it, the fabric. And now we're going to sew the letters. Okay, now I'm going to frame out the machine, the hoop, move it forward, and put the fabric underneath it. So I have a piece of fabric here, and I'm going to slide it underneath, flatten it out. It's much larger than I need, but the reason why I have it this big is so that I can see where it is. Because essentially, if I wanted to have it set correctly, I would have to remove the hoop, unscrew it, take it off, put the fabric on the back, and do it that way. But I'm impatient and I don't want to do all that work. So for me, I'm gonna pin it, catching it underneath. So this is not going to be so vital because it's the back, but we still want it to be somewhat straight and flat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hold it on either side as it's stitching. And right now what I have sewing is another rectangle that is going to be the basting stitch essentially for the back, and then it's going to sew all the triangles. So the last step now is to sew the triangles. Now that we have, I've completed this these 9 triangles here, I'm going to prep the other set and get the other set sewing. Now that it's finished sewing, let's clean it up. Okay, so now that I have them all cut, I'm going to assemble them in the correct order. So this threader here is called an easy threader, and it's a long, flexible needle that it's great for hoodies if the rope or the string comes out of the hoodie, and you can thread it back through. So I have the channel here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take essentially the needle end, the end with the eye, and stick it in here. Making sure I have it in the right direction. The rope here, and so the rope goes just like threading a needle, and then pull it through. Okay. So, and then you can also do it the other direction if you want. So you could take it like this and thread it through this way, and then pull the thread out. That. So I'm going to finish threading these through here. So with these designs, they are finished with a raw edge. So it's meant to have, excuse me, some fraying if you want. And I left area at the top here so that it's a little bit, I could fray that as well. Being that I used 2 layers of stabilizer, it makes them more sturdy, which I like that, so they're not as flimsy. And so obviously this is the front with the letter on it, but because we made it like an applique and we did the back of it stitched on after the letter, now you don't see that on the back. So, and all that bobbin thread. The other thing is, so when I cut these, I obviously left some edge. You can leave as much as you want. You could do several layers of fabric if you wish to get more fraying. The fabric called Osnaburg, I think is how you say it, OSNABURG, is great to get lots of fraying. You could do flannel is great for that too. I have a video, I'll post the link down below, but it's how to fray and make things raggy when they have a raw edge like this, to make it raggy really fast and easy. So flannel, Osnaburg, those are great for fraying. But leave a little edge so you can have the fabric fray. And yeah, so. So with this, cut it into a triangle. Well, you could leave it as a triangle if you wish, but I chose to cut the sides flat so they could bump up against each other closer, because if I had the points, they'd be like that far apart. So this way they're a bit closer, and when it's on a curve, hanging, I'm gonna hang it up above my machine there, and it'll be like that. So it wouldn't be so far apart. It makes it a little bit closer. You could definitely leave it as a triangle. I chose to do the flat sides there. So here's the first one. That is super cute. And then I will do the second one. So that was my first project, using my sash frame. I absolutely love it. I had so much fun making this banner. And I want to talk a few things that I learned while using the sash frame. So first, it may not be the best idea to do an applique on this because of the fact that to remove or to get the fabric underneath the stabilizer and underneath the hoop, you would have to essentially unscrew the frame to remove it. It's not just simple clamps that holds it on there. The frame is screwed into the pantograph. So if you're going to do applique like I did, cut the back piece of fabric larger than the size of the frame. That way you can have edges on either side of it and the front of it to be able to, pull it nice and taut and then get a few pins down here at the edge of the frame towards you. Also make sure that if you're going to do that, you use the frame out like you saw me do. One of the things that I found was easiest as well is when you are putting the frame onto the pantograph, to get one side of both of the screws on to the pantograph and tighten just at least one of the screws, and then go to the other side and attach the other side. It made it easier for me so that when if I had someone else helping to put it on, it would have been easier, obviously, but being by myself and trying to get it on there, I would put slide the one side on, and then when I went to the other side and slid that side on, this side came off. So I found it easier to screw in the one side just a little bit, not completely tightened down, and then the other side I was able to get on much easier. The other thing that I found too was when you have these purple things on here, it was much easier to remove them using just getting the screwdriver underneath it to remove it. So let me get this on here. So simply taking the screwdriver and sliding it right in there like that, and just using a little bit of leverage to pop it off, made it so much easier to get these off. Especially when you have the stabilizer on there, and I used 2 layers of medium weight tearaway stabilizer. And if you're also going to be hooping some fabric with it, it's going to be even tighter. So using the screwdriver in the sides like that really helped. And then the other thing was to score the stabilizer. So when I put the stabilizer down, to really flatten it in around the edges and kind of crease it in around both the inside of the frame here and then over the lip as well. So you saw me doing some of that in the video. I hope that stood out and made sense. So those are my takeaways from my first experience using the sash frame. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed following along with me, my first project using it. I can't wait to do many more. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up so I know that you're enjoying my content. Share this information with your friends so that they can see and learn as well. And subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed it, and also hit the bell. Click the bell so that you're notified when I upload new content. Thanks so much for joining me today, and make your life creative.